Hi, this is guitarist Denis Taaffe, and I'm in my home studio. And I want to welcome you to Bargain Bin Gear. Now, for those of you who haven't been following the channel, one of my favorite guitar sounds is a clean guitar sound. And I very much like the kind of ambient, clean guitar, such as that creates moods and atmosphere and depth and that kind of thing. And one of the ways to do that is reverb. Okay, and there's lots of different reverbs on the market, you know, and they all have their different kind of sounds, you know. One I recently tried was the GFI Specular Tempest. It has a gigantic reverb sound. Now, along those same lines is the TC Electronics Hall of Fame reverb pedal. And it's a little small pedal, you know, a little tiny pedal. However, it lacked quite a few things, one of which was MIDI, you know, musical instrument digital interface, you know, and that's kind of essential if you're going to be changing presets and that kind of thing. Now, I bring this up because here's what we're going to look at today. Look at this thing. The Hall of Fame 2x4, actually. Hall of Fame 2x4 reverb pedal. Now look at the size of this thing. It's gigantic, right? And with these gigantic knobs and things, right? So you think, well, gosh, that's kind of a, you know, kiddie pedal. So anyway, it's almost like a, you know, pedal with training wheels or something, right? But no. This is actually very, very powerful reverb pedal. And I was quite taken aback by it, in fact. You know, now listen, I thought that the Specular Tempest had this gigantic reverb. However, this little pedal right here, and it's quite inexpensive considering what you get. And the reverbs can be really massive here. You know. And real quick, let's go through it. It's got these gigantic knobs, so it's really easy. I mean, you basically got the kind of reverb you want. It's got all kinds here, plus a shimmer effect, right? And then here you got decay, pre-delay, right? The tone, and then just the master volume, the level. Okay. And you've got 4 foot switches here. Okay, now, here's what sets this apart from other reverb pedals. Quite a few things, actually. One, and I don't know if this is just because of the size, but one, true stereo, right? So if you've got a pedal board, you know, with, let's say, a chorus pedal before it or something, and take the outputs of the chorus pedal into this, right? It's got 2 inputs, 2 outputs, and then you can also add an expression pedal, you know, kind of like a volume pedal, but it's an expression pedal. But beyond that, check this out, MIDI in and through, right here, jacks, and this will allow you to choose between the 4 presets here. Okay, but beyond that, there's a little switch right here. Click that up, and instead of green, you've got 4 green LEDs here, so 4 presets, and then they turn red, and you've got 4 red presets. So, total of 8 presets, basically. Okay. Now, what I liked about this pedal, though, really, it's just right out of the box. It is so simple to use. You know, I mean, basically you choose a reverb and all these little, you know, dial the knobs, basically. And, you know, besides the tone, which is kind of You know, do you want it dark or bright, pretty much. You know, it's like a bass and treble control, you know, put together. You know, and then the master volume is kind of a no-brainer, you know, the overall volume. And that leaves you really only the decay and the pre-delay. And this decay button makes all the difference in the world. Because this will decide, do you want a small reverb or a huge cavernous reverb? And you can choose the different ones here. Now, now those are the basic functions of the pedal. However, as you'll notice here, they're kind of built in right here. Okay, and you've got everything from hall, room, mod, you know, all kinds of different ones here. Reverbs. But then if you turn it to the right, you have tone print reverbs. Now what tone prints are basically reverb patches, if you like, that have been created by usually well-known players and so on, that can be downloaded into this pedal. Alright? So you can download them and then edit them and that kind of thing. However, beyond that, it has a USB port right here, and it has a tone print app. Right? And that means that basically you can edit all these functions, you know. And also, the tone prints really allow you to get all kinds of different sounds, you know, and you can edit them beyond that. But there's more. And here's the more part. The MIDI control on this is crazy. Because not only does it just let you change, you know, the program changes, in other words, the presets. You can choose the 8 presets. But beyond that, every parameter can be controlled via MIDI. Right? You know, so again, if you had an expression pedal, kind of a MIDI expression pedal, you could control things that way. You know, or just change it to a setting that you like, and so on. So, not only the program changes, but also the different parameters here. Okay, so not only program changes, but control changes too, via MIDI, and that is really cool. Beyond that, you also have a true bypass. Okay, which is really great because then the pedal, you know, even if you unplug it, makes no difference to the signal change. So this is a very, very clean pedal. Now, you can also get a buffered bypass, and you have your choice here. There's a little knob. You can switch between the two, whichever works best for you. Some people hate the true bypass. I don't know. Okay. So, now, if that weren't enough, there's more, right? And this is where it really becomes a really kind of a unique reverb pedal. It's not just a reverb pedal, obviously. Okay, but beyond that, there are 4 mash buttons. Okay, now what is that? Right? And I'll tell you what that is really interesting. And basically, these are pressure-sensitive foot switches. And depending on how much pressure you put down on it, you'll see a little orange light up here. And what that does is allow you to control up to 3 parameters in real time just by putting pressure on there. Right? So you can get some really unique sounds here. You know, and it almost becomes like almost like using a wah or volume pedal. That's the idea. You know, in other words, it's a momentary switch, right? And so you could have it, for example, affect the decay of the reverb, and so dynamically you could hit that switch and it would change the sound, right? Almost like a volume pedal or a wah-wah, right? So it wouldn't be on all the time. The reverb would be on all the time, but the accents, if you like, that you program with these mash buttons, right, up to the 3 parameters, could be accented as if you were, hitting a wah pedal or a volume pedal and things. So that's really kind of cool, and to be truthful, I haven't even tried that out yet. In fact, I'll be quite honest with you, that this was not my pedal, and it had been loaned to me, and I liked it so much that I ended up buying it, from my friend who had loaned it to me. It's just a really fantastic pedal, and so easy to use and to store presets and things. And basically, I just went through and chose a reverb, chose the amount of decay I wanted, the amount of pre-delay, the tone, pretty much left it in the middle for the most part. Maybe on some things I would tweak it to be brighter or darker. And then just the master level. And then if you press this little switch right here down, right, the switches will light up, and you can store it very easily. Yeah. And before you know it, I had 8 presets, just playing around with it. And it doesn't mean I won't tweak them later, and upload the app. I haven't even used the app yet, or the expression pedal, or the mash functions either. So there's quite a bit that this can do. Okay, and let me tell you, another thing that this is great for, okay, is if you have a guitar synthesizer pedal, like one of those Electro-Harmonix Synth 9 pedals, or a Boss SY1, or what have you. They sound okay, right? But they're kind of dry, and they don't really sound all that great by themselves. However, if you add one of these, right, and turn that decay knob to get a gigantic reverb, it really turns those guitar synthesizer tones into something really spectacular, like it would sound like a professional, synthesizer on there. And it's kind of the same way with the guitar, obviously, however, what I've found is you don't have to overdo, you don't have to have a huge reverb to make it really effective on guitar, is what I've found, or clean guitar, but it definitely changes the tone, if that makes sense. The overall air, even the feel of it, like clean, dry guitar, with no reverb, is a pretty cold endeavor, really, and just even the feel of it. It's like it doesn't breathe. The clean sound, and the reverb really makes that clean sound breathe, for lack of a better word. It provides air to the sound, if that makes sense, to each individual note, and chords and so on. And that's why reverb is so important, And in fact, I can honestly say that there are amps that I tried and that, they had skimped on the reverb, either a circuit or one of those, spring reverbs, but it was lousy, that can make all the difference in whether you like that amp or like playing through it, or like even the tones of it, You know, so manufacturers really shouldn't skimp on the reverb. And something like this is a great equalizer, you know, as far as amps go. Because all of a sudden you can take an amp with some, you know, that has a lousy reverb or what have you, right? And add a, you know, a reverb pedal, and it makes all the difference in the world, you know. And a perfect example of that is obviously, you know, the deluxe reverb, you know, considered to have this great clean tone. Well, part of that is, you know, because of the reverb. Now, obviously, because it's all tube and so on, so on, so on. But the reverb has a lot to do with it. In fact, my friend has an EVH mini head, okay, and it's fantastic. The clean channel is just amazing. Obviously it does high gain and so on. We'll review that here in some other video, but the one thing that it lacks is built-in reverb. Now why? Because I guess they figured you're going to add a reverb thing. But it really, for clean sounds, you know, it makes all the difference in the world. And that doesn't mean that it has to be this cavernous reverb, you know. It does that. It can do that, okay? It can make these gigantic reverb sounds as if you're playing in a cave or something, you know. Or you know, some gigantic auditorium thing. But what it's really good at, too, is the very subtle reverbs. You know, and you almost don't notice it, but it just kind of provides a lift, or air, if you like, has been referred to, you know, on your clean sounds. Obviously, you can use distorted sounds, too, you know, especially for soloing and that kind of thing. And there again, it's the same kind of thing, that, you know, a cavernous reverb on a distorted lead doesn't always, you know, translate into a good sound. A lot of times it's a subtle reverb, you know. So, while this is just a reverb pedal, it does a lot of different kinds of reverbs, and we'll take a listen to it here. So let me get it hooked up. And one last thing, the price on this pedal is actually very reasonable, you know, especially for this kind of quality of sound, you know. In fact, Sweetwater has it for $229, okay? And, I mean, that's just really inexpensive for the quality of the reverb that you get, you know. And it says 8 stored presets and 6 tone print preset slots, right? So, I mean, there's a lot going on here with this pedal. You know, and the truth be known, I mean, I've only scratched the surface with it. And so far I've been very, very pleased, you know. And as far as the, you know, the tone prints and things, I mean, I've just been using what's in there. And from what I remember, you know, I tried out a little single Hall of Fame pedal, you know, and tons of different tone prints for different sounds and that kind of thing. And the mash function is pretty unique to these TC Electronics pedals. And it's really something kind of different, you know, that they tried to do, and I think it's a really neat idea, you know, to actually use kind of these parameters, you know, as kind of a wah or volume effect. In other words, you can bring them in and out, or just sporadically, you know, here and there on certain notes or that kind of thing. Very interesting. Okay, so let's take a listen to it. Okay, now, here is just, I'm going into two Fender little X2s, little combo amps basically. Okay, and that's just with the built-in reverb there. Okay, and now we're going to turn on the TC Electronics. And here it's just a real subtle, you know, additional reverb, and you can hear the difference. Okay, and that's a just a preset. It's really not a lot of reverb, actually. But you can hear that real airiness of the notes, right? Here's another preset, and these are just ones I created quickly on the fly. However, this is really meant for a guitar synthesizer sound. So it's got a huge decay and that kind of thing, but you can hear the quality of the reverb, so let's change it. Alright, so I've changed the preset, and you can hear it's just super quiet, but this is a massive, long decay reverb, and you can hear it here. Great for swells of single notes, you know. And this is without it, right? Okay, so you can hear the difference. Okay, and let's try another one. Okay, and this is just kind of another flavor of a reverb, if you like. And you hear it's a lot brighter too. here's another one, just another preset that I used. A little bit longer decay, right? Just going through some of the presets I made here, you know, for different purposes. And that's sweet. It almost sounds like a kind of a, it's probably the modulated reverb, because it adds almost like a chorus type effect, right? That kind of. So let's try a couple of other presets just to see, you know. Keep in mind, some of these are done just for guitar synthesizer presets, but so you can hear that kind of echo there. We got two more presets to go, so let's hear this one. delay built in, and it's kind of regenerating, you know. And then this last one is just a shimmer, you know, kind of deal. Just for fun, let's add a different effect. Alright, let's see if this sounds any different. Alright. Well, that's just a nice sound right there. Trying out different kind of sounds. This one, here's just a different kind of sound. And here's just you know, those X2s have some built-in effects and things, so let's try that. See what happens there. organic kind of sound, you know, this kind of thing. Okay, so basically, for the price, you're getting this really fantastic reverb, you know, studio quality reverb sounds, and they can sound really, really great. Now here I've exaggerated them a bit, you know, so you could hear them, you know, but when you add to that, you know, you can add an expression pedal, do the download tone prints, you know, or edit your own with an app, you know, and then, you know, call it back via presets, you know, via MIDI, and call back the presets, you know, including controlling parameters, you know, control changes to the parameters. So, basically, you get a lot for your money, you know. Because reverb pedals can get very, very, very expensive, you know, without a doubt. So here it's a real bargain for the quality of reverb that you get. And I mean, you know, I've just scratched the surface. And that's what's nice about this pedal. With those big knobs, you know, it's really easy to just plug it in, you know, and it's quite obvious, decay, you know, how long you want it to last and that kind of thing. You know, just turn the knobs or the preset and you're done. Very, very simple. You know, or, you know, you can edit it and tweak it and I'll do all those kinds of things. Okay, and sound quality wise, I think it's really, really great. Very, very good. Definitely on par with like Eventide pedals, kind of, you know. Just that kind of a studio quality sound, you know. So well worth the money. And, you know, if MIDI is not your thing, you don't need it or whatever, you know, you can get the Hall of Fame 2 mini pedal. They're about 130 bucks, you know, but there's no MIDI and that kind of thing. And remember, with this pedal, I mean, you're basically getting 4 Hall of Fame 2 pedals in this one pedal. Now, it takes up a lot of real estate on the pedal board, granted, you know, but definitely that shouldn't be a hindrance to adding this pedal, you know, to your pedal board. Highly, highly recommended, you know. And obviously, you know, you can go crazy with a reverb, you know, amount and so on. But even for subtle reverb, and you'll learn over time how much is too much reverb, you know, and how just that little subtle reverb can make all the difference to a good clean tone, you know. You can also run it, you know, with overdrive and those kinds of things. Now, one thing I should mention, if you're going to be using gain or distortion, okay, you want it to come before the reverb. So here I've just got the reverb pedal, plugged straight into the amp, not even using an effects loop. Now if I had an effects loop and plugged it into the effects loop, then I could switch to the gain channel and do that. If I added a distortion pedal before, the Hall of Fame reverb, then you get a decent distorted tone. That's just something I wanted to mention, in case you weren't aware of that. But okay, anyway, I guess what I'm saying is that it really is a bargain. And I don't think many people, they see the size of it and think, oh, well, I don't know what that's about, probably super expensive or what have you. And it really isn't. It's actually really inexpensive. And yet you get a lot of power there, compared to just a little simple pedal. It can do a lot, especially if you spend time with it, I've just scratched the surface, really. Just trying it out and those kinds of things. All right. Very good. So something maybe to try out, see if it works for you. All right. Very good. See you next time. Bye.